Good morning, everyone. It's Monday, October 31st, the spookiest day of the year. Welcome back, everyone. Happy Halloween.
Hey,
Good
now.
morning, happy Halloween.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Trick or treat.
In fitting Halloween fashion, it's a bloody day, at least pre-market.
I'm going to dress up like a Citadel employee today. All baggy clothes with no shaving and possibly, carrying a tin cup saying, any money, please.
And your private jet.
I'm going to be dressing up as a Credit Suisse lawyer, getting ready for my lawsuits coming my way.
I'm dressing up as a Lehman Brothers associate, so we're way dead in the water.
I'm going to go as a triple BY CFO.
I'm going to go as a fucking billionaire because I've got my shares ready to fucking sell.
And I'll be walking around with a horse in a sink, and everyone should get that.
Nice
Death
one.
come to Twitter.
Hey, all of you people who keep, investing in the crap stocks, just try buying a lottery ticket. You have a better chance of winning and actually making money.
Speaking of crap stocks, I have a crap stock play if we want to start.
Oh, go for it.
Okay. So I'm going to begrudgingly be buying Ape shares at open. I know, stupidest thing in the world, but hear me out. AMC has earnings on November 8th. I'm taking that bet that they're going to announce that they want to raise money the only way they can by converting Ape shares to AMC shares. They convert it 1-to-1. They have a 1-to-1 voting power. The Ape shares are $2. The AMC shares are $6.75. If they announce that, I don't need the vote to pass. I don't need to wait for the vote. We should see the Ape shares push up and the AMC shares push down, and I will happily make a week-long bet on what could be a 50 to 100% return just on that announcement. I'm not going to put a lot of money into it, but I'm going to give it a go.
So right now, AMC's preferred stock, the Ape shares, is trading at a third of the regular price.
Yep, because right now they're nothing, right? They're just nothingness that could one day become AMC. And when they announce that vote, that's when they're going to move. They've got earnings on the 8th, and I'm just making a bet that Adam Aron's going to want to raise money because that's what he does. And he's going to say, hey, guys, we have great news. Your Ape shares that we gave you are going to become AMC now. Hooray.
So basically, you're betting that they're going to get rid of the preferred stock or the preferred shares.
I think the plan has always been for them at some point to announce that vote to convert them over. I'm just betting that this is when they're going to do it.
Well, good luck to you, Rad.
Emphasis on small bet.
Anyone else got some small bets, spooky or otherwise?
Yeah, I hope some of you apes aped in the GME on Friday. Yeah, just bought a $35 call, bought a $40 call. Because why the fuck not?
Oh, that's going to look like they're going to print a little bit. It's, up 6% to almost $30 now? I think it was up earlier also in pre-market.
Yeah, it was up to 31.20 pre-market. As much as 10%. It's up 7.8% now. I've been playing $30 and $33 calls weekly since the 21st. The 33s are looking good today. I may actually still buy some for next week as well, depending on how long this can last. And I'm loving life.
So, question on all of us GME bulls. If you have shares and you're thinking about exiting your position, are you going to watch and see when this run-up ends? Or are you expecting it to, or I guess the question really is how long do you think it's going to last? Do you think it's going to last through the fourth quarter? Maybe we see a little Santa Claus rally or what?
Depends on the volume of trading today. If it keeps rocketing like it did on Friday, I think they did double their average on Friday. So the average is normally 4 million shares traded. They did 8 million on Friday. So I see more than 8 million today. The show goes on, but if not, then I'll take my winnings and go into something else.
Keep in mind that during the sneeze, GameStop was trading in excess of 1 million shares a minute. So if we don't hit 1 million shares a minute in volume, it's not a sneeze, let alone Oasis.
Yeah, my shares are just collateral. I'm going to hold those because you're waiting for Oasis on that puppy, and I bought them pretty cheap anyway. So I'm not going to sell them even if it hits probably $100 a share.
I sold $50 calls on my shares, collect some premium out in January. Cost basis is mid-30s.
Can I ask a question real quick, if that's okay with you guys?
Sure.
So I'm new here, and thankfully Hendrix let me know about this because I'm interested in learning more about stocks. But I just have a quick question real quick, and then I'll let you guys continue, and I'll just listen. Is it a good idea to invest in privately owned prisons, even though I know it's not it's not good, but is it good to invest in privately owned prisons or no?
It depends where. So some states, for example, are looking to abolish privately held prisons. Federal government has also talked about exploring the possibility of abolishing private prisons. So you need to ask yourself, over the next however long your investment horizon is, will the value of privately owned prisons go up or go down? And then from that, you can decide whether or not it's worth investing.
Down.
Yeah,
Okay, no. Okay.
keep in mind that a lot of those companies, they make the money they make off of the prisons is based on headcount. So if you have any change in policy or legislation, like I don't know, having the president pardon or commute sentences for anyone convicted of federal weed laws, and you see a huge downturn in the population, they're going to lose money there as well.
Yikes. Okay. All right. Well, that's a no-no. Well, thank you guys. I'll continue to listen for some tips, but thanks. I'm shocked. I thought that I don't know. I thought that was a way to go. I don't know why. Sorry.
It's also morally wrong, so therefore, in my opinion, a bad investment.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely morally wrong. I'm not saying that it wasn't. I kind of said it was. It's just business for me sometimes can be business. And as unfortunate as that sounds, I work in corporate, and I hate to say that, but when it comes to business for me, and if I'm trying to get ahead of anything, I understand business comes first. And in any industry, uh, everything's a little corrupt. That's all I'll say.
Alrighty
Well,
then. Thank you for that.
let's keep this from turning into an ethics argument.
Well, everyone has their ethics.
Any other plays?
Well, they're either ethics or we're not. We got plays from the comments. The Hilder brand a rarity said we read this morning. Bitter Canuck says quitting my job today puts on the Canadian economy. Emergency PA 22 says, can we please get GME talk done right at the beginning? Life is an antisocial. Calls on Petrobras, PBR ticker for Friday. Thomas Surge says, can we talk about parabolic GME? Any thoughts on grabbing some more shares? Heart erection.
Maybe we should address these one at a time.
I was hoping
ahead.
to talk about GameStop.
Go ahead.
So whether or not GameStop will go parabolic, hard to say. Although the fact that we crossed $30, even though that was right at max pain, is showing promise. So it's entirely possible that those who have an interest in GameStop being down are losing control of the wheel.
I
That
think
said,
the more important
that
thing to note with GameStop this morning is the pre-market volume. We're on pace. So last week on Wednesday, there was only 2.5 million shares traded of GameStop the whole day. Right now, we're at 300,000 shares traded in pre-market. One of the biggest indicators for GameStop running is volume coming in, and it looks like we might be seeing a very high volume day, potentially 4 times the daily average volume. At least that's the pace it's on so far. So that would be what I would watch. If you see volume start to wane, it would suggest that it's just a little bit of a run and it's done with. But if you see it increasing or accumulating very rapidly, then it's going to keep going. I mean, there's not even a daily thread up on WallStreetBets yet, so we'll see what happens.
I do want to point out that the implied volatility for GameStop is increasing. And one way to counter a gamma ramp is to increase dramatically the implied volatility by setting up the sale prices as high as possible to try and stunt any irrational buying done by market participants. So I want to caution anyone who wants to ape into short-dated at-the-money options contracts. You're already paying a substantial premium to enter those trades. I'm of the opinion that a buy right, where you buy 100 shares of GameStop and then sell a deep in the money call, so a strike price below your buy price, is the better play because there's a lot of excess extrinsic value that you can harvest from the market.
I also agree. Selling calls on the underlying is the move today, not buying shares when it's up 10% already.
I should emphasize selling calls against secured by shares that you hold, not naked calls.
Right. Owning the underlying, selling calls against it, you'll do really well with GameStop. Another interesting piece to note with GameStop running the way it is, AMC or Bed Bath & Beyond are not running with it, which is kind of odd. Generally, they run in tandem.
We need a little bit more focus on the aping if we want to continue to see GME run. Like, don't get me wrong, you can have your AMC or whatever the case may be, but
all right. Really so, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, I was done.
All right, so back on that, just taking this little by little because we don't want to go overwhelming too much on these comment plays. Valder, or just by the way, Hard Erections, Gamma Max, and Delta Neutral plays are posted. Please check those out in the comment section. Vader Talk 96, is it good to buy stocks in your Roth IRA? Question mark. I have 2 in there, but 36 and 4 ETFs in my regular account.
There's nothing wrong with buying individual stocks in your Roth IRA. If your provider is preventing that, perhaps you should find a new provider.
Thank you for that. Moroccan Man 19 says, do you think SPY will go past 390 today, or will it go down? And Simple Stocks Simeon says, WTI calls.
So I think SPY could go down, but it could also go up.
All righty. And then somebody wants to know, Alexander Wicks, it looks like, WRX, excuse me, says SoFi calls. And then also Alex Hackney says SPY calls today, question mark. And then New Mail Gmail says any call plays on gas companies.
So keep in mind the Fed funds rate is going to be announced tomorrow at 2 p.m. And assuming it's the same 75 basis points that's been done the last 3 times, it's at least short-term bearish for the market. Doubly so when J-Pow goes to speak and lets it slip again that the new targeted inflation rate is 5.25 or higher.
Just double checking, Hardy. It should be Wednesday at 2 p.m.
Okay, you're right. Thank you for pointing that out. Wednesday is the announcement.
Yep, and that's kind of the play I'm making. So Wednesday at around 2:30, I think it is. I'll be picking up QQQ and SPY shorts for the week after on the money puts for QQQ and SPY as well. What I really want to look for here is not the rate that they're hiking at. I mean, we're more or less priced in at 75 basis points. I think Hardy mentioned it, where it's what the future expectations are for December and going into 2023, what they look like. because I think that's where we're really going to see whether the Fed can or cannot pivot. From my analysis, the Fed should not be pivoting anytime soon based on the inflation numbers that are coming out on a daily basis.
Yes, I believe the current expectation is April, about 4.6, 4.8%. So if they come out and gauge it more than that, that's where it goes down. If they come out and gauge it less than that, that's where it goes up. Spot.
Keep in mind that the next Fed funds rate announcement will be December 14 after this November 2 announcement. So you have that roughly 6-week window during which SPY could temporarily go down, enjoy some form of Santa Claus rally, and then go down again because of the new Fed funds rate, especially if unemployment doesn't go up.
Yellow.
And as we approach the holiday season, the odds of mass layoffs are increasingly unlikely because it's a very bad look if a company lays off someone right over Thanksgiving week or over Christmas week.
Unless they work for Twitter, of course.
Well, and that's a consequence of working for Musk. I don't think Twitter would have laid off on Thanksgiving week itself.
Ouch.
Let's see. What other plays do we have to share?
I do have some things for you. Hello, Miss Banana says Zillow puts question marks. Most Philosophy 1227 thoughts on Rumble.
Okay, hold on. Zillow puts. Let's address that one first, just so it's easier for everyone to keep track. What's Zillow? Z?
Z.
They are close to their gamma max. So if the price goes above 31.47 today, look to buy puts at the money. What was the next one after that?
Thoughts on Rumble. I'm not sure familiar with this one. It's by Most Philosophy 1227. Rumble.
See, Rumble, I believe, is
it's
the
below market
Truth
cap.
Social of YouTube.
Doesn't matter.
Oh,
it's below
market cap.
cap.
Okay.
My bad, guys. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments. Okay.
I understand.
Vintage wants to...
For one moment, for everyone's reference, we only talk about stocks that are $500 million in market cap or higher, to avoid to avoid as much as possible the allegation that we're manipulating individual stocks.
Thank you for
So
that.
what was the next comment?
Eventies wants to know, hey guys, was wondering what your thoughts are on AMD. Earnings tomorrow, and NVIDIA and AMD raised after their earnings report, question mark. Do you think the same will happen with AMD?
Hard to say. Could go down, could go up. But IV on AMD in particular is not very elevated. So if it were to crush, you'd probably still get crushed.
I think it's still viable for a long-term hold though, since it's kind of cheap right now, and it's obviously going to re-raise in the next few quarters.
Well, you have the possibility that the price goes up and the delta component of your options makes money, but you have an almost guarantee that the implied volatility will go down tomorrow or whenever the earnings are announced. So another possibility would be to sell a deep in the money call and then buy enough shares to cover your short call position, and make sure that the difference between the premium you earn against the current share price is worth the risk. And the risk and your downside is if the price falls below the strike price of your in the money call.
Okay. Well, thank you for that.
I'm pretty bullish on AMD. A new card coming from them usually means a higher stock price. So people have been converting over to the AMD style of things. So,
but a new card doesn't a new card in the past meant a higher stock price because you had the mining crew buying up AMD cards for their mining rigs. But if you look on the secondary market for graphics cards and other high margin chips that AMD produces, there's a lot of clearance type sales going on, at least among the major PC parts retailers. So I'm not really sure what to make of this because it's hard to get any insight into enterprise buying of AMD chips, both graphics and CPU.
Hardy, they're saying that Rumble is 3.3 billion market cap. Can you confirm that?
No, dude, it's like a crappy.
What's the ticker? Because there's a ticker RUM and a ticker
RUM.
RMBL.
Yeah, it's 3.2 billion. That looks correct to me.
Was this a former SPAC?
I think there's two different companies because there is a Rumble that's 3.2 billion, but I don't know if that's what they're talking about.
RUM.
Yeah,
There's
they're
a
talking about
Rumble
RUM.
Incorporated that I'm showing as 440 million.
All right, so
unless
let's just
number of shares outstanding is wrong.
Sorry for interrupting. I'll just say this: if you guys are going to put plays in here, please put the ticker. Thanks.
Ticker. Yo, am I on the mic?
Good morning.
Yes.
Oh, hey guys. My name is. I'm from Aura, and I could go over a few. First, go over GameStop. Just real quick. I know you guys. We've all been on this for years, and back 2 years ago, we were at these levels, and if you recall, it went from $20 to about $40 at these same levels really rapidly. So I feel, and I've spoken to a few thousand of my other investor friends this weekend, and we're all jumping in. So the pre-market action and the demand, there's obviously more of us seeing the same picture. There's going to be a lot of energy going back into this, and we're also looking at the benefits of inflation coming down, because OPEC right now is forecasting to increase the production and more energy going forward. So you're seeing falling into the 70s on oil. So right now, I just want to wish you guys all good luck. GameStop, I really appreciate you guys all holding on, and let's get back to business.
Question for you, Aura. How does the fact that there are now 4 times as many shares outstanding affect your thesis, if at all? Wouldn't it require 4 times as much buying in order to see something similar to the January 2021 sneeze?
Well, not if you factor in DRS, right? We now have a large percentage of the float locked up.
Float lock just means no fewer shares to borrow, but there's still, I believe, more shares float available than there were pre-split.
Yep. But right, the only factor needs to be larger demand than available supply. Doesn't matter what the absolute total is. You know, if it was an 8-to-1 buy to sell ratio last time, we could still achieve similar ratios. You're right, the demand would need to be greater, but the saturation for demand clearly wasn't reached. They shut off the buy button.
My speculation right now is that when I spoke to my investor friends, that BlackRock made large positions on those shorts from November. Okay, they're cashing out. They're having 4 times amount of leverage on their buying power now. When we thought BlackRock in November 2021 was big, now they're 4 times bigger with a larger cash position, and they're ready to buy in. So just be prepared. Come midweek, there's either going to be a sharp up or sharp down. Either it's going to be another buying opportunity to course average in, or you're going to ride this thing like we did last time. Last time we rode it all the way up to 400 plus, and then we had a situation where they stopped us from buying in. This time we cleaned out a little bit of these guys, right? Melvin's no longer around. BlackRock is either coming on board with us or they're going to take a hit like Melvin. So
BlackRock is one of the largest shareholders in most companies, and the reason why is because they have a very strong securities lending or SEC lending program. So you know those instances where the borrow rate hits high double or even triple digits? That's usually BlackRock behind the scenes doing that.
Exactly. They're controlling the bond market, the largest market right now. And if you notice,
my point
TOT,
is they're not buying to benefit from an increase in the share price. They're likely hedged so that the change in share price is irrelevant. They're buying so that they have collateral to lend at elevated interest rates.
Exactly.
I'm more interested in the idea that the guy who was talking about it going parabolic. So Archegos had a credit swap with Credit Suisse, that guy bought Credit Suisse's bags at a discount, meaning he's likely holding a lot of GME shares that he bought at a discount. And he was on the news saying that they're going to go parabolic. He has a very vested interest in them going parabolic if he's trying to clear out those Archegos bags at anywhere close to cost. So, I mean, I'm bullish for that reason.
Right. I think we're down pre-market because of what happened overseas in Europe. The EU, they reported about 10.6 inflation because the natural gas and oil prices were higher and elevated. Now we have currently back a month ago in August when I said short natural gas, people were telling me wrong. Obviously, I was right. Now it's down 40%. I think inflation in America is down 40%. I also believe that eventually the EU will have a sharp decline in inflation. Right now, Powell was wrong in 2021. He didn't want to raise rates. We all know that. Now they made the sharpest increase in rates. The bonds, if you shorted TLT at 150, went to 190. It went to 90. You made money. Now I think $90 on TLT is the support. You're going to see that the bonds are going to normalize, and then we're going to see a market reaction where a large amount of these short profits are going to come back into the market as a long profit. That's my hypothesis. That's what I know from the guys over at BlackRock, what they would be doing. They're going to be buying into this opportunity. And if they haven't already built a position, that's why we see GME already running up 10% in the pre-market, because people already bought in last week. I appreciate you guys.
To clarify, Aura, you're saying that the shorts on TLT are covering their position, and therefore that's adding buying pressure, in addition to speculative firms adding more buying pressure because they think TLT is undervalued now? Just trying to make sure I got it right.
Same play as last week and the week before. Unfortunately, we had a 10% pullback on TBT, but I averaged in just a little further. The 1 year, the 6 month, even the 1 month are all bullish. This is just a small pullback from the top. I think the 20 years going, I would bet 5 or 6%. I mean, 4.5 is already a good rate, but until we get that Fed pivot, it's a safe bet. And the moment they pivot, it's a terrible bet, and you're going to get hit pretty hard. But I'm pretty much betting this week FOMC and the inflation data is not going to push bonds lower. I think TBT is going up, TLT coming down. We had a meaningful pullback of about 10% on TBT, so it's up pre-market. And if we go down this week, it's more support for that thesis. Just to pair with that, my strikes, $35 calls and $30 calls, mostly on the $30 at 550, so maybe slightly up on those. The 35s, paying a little extra for data on those, but I am trying to get paid here. So I think I'm in those at about 170 each. Just to pair with that, I've got SQQQ, $40 calls. So let's hope we cruise down a little bit here.
Look at the European market, so fucking green after the so shitty CPI. So short term, pre-market, whatever happens today, tomorrow, doesn't matter. Over the midterm, I think the bet for me is clear. It's a massive short on the market. We're still out of control. The market has misread this like desperately, wanting a pivot from the Fed, from the Bank of England, EU. Come on, we haven't even started raising interest rates.
I got a play. Can you hear me?
Can I, before you start with another play, can I squeeze in another question for Hadi about GME calls?
I have one as well after that.
Okay. So I was actually looking at the history of GME price movements. I was actually expecting a peak in mid-November till mid-December. So I actually wanted to buy GME calls this week. Now we already have this run up, and IV is not looking so good for me to buy in anymore. So do you think it would still be an option to buy in like next week if the price comes down again, or is IV going to be too expensive for that?
If the rise is genuinely another January 2021 sneeze, IV, you can see IV easily double, triple from current levels. So I hesitate to rely on delta, the change in the underlying price, to be the driver of my profits in GameStop options. I instead look to Vega, which is affected by the implied volatility. I did something similar with Bed Bath & Beyond during that sneeze, and I was able to sell, what was it, $5 strike calls secured by 100 share blocks and still walk away with, I think it was like a 70% annualized return, virtually risk-free. So that's my take, especially on this meme stock stuff. That said, I do hold low four figures of January 237.50 calls on GameStop. Now, unlike some other apes, those calls for me are free rolled, meaning I have taken out my original principal when when trading those particular contracts. And so the contracts that are left are held free and clear. I can afford it to go to zero and not lose a night of sleep. And what was the other question?
I posted my play down in the comments.
Okay, that's my turn. I was actually just going back to what a little bit in between everyone was saying how some people were for it, some people were against it. So is the consensus that GameStop is going to be rising another $5-6 today in stock, or is it going to be everyone thinks it's going to be sinking back down to the low 20s where we were before?
That depends. That depends on institutions' ability to create more shares or synthetically create more shares or obligations to borrow in order to short. The next failure to deliver report, I believe, comes out tomorrow for the first half of October. So apes with a little more wrinkles can go see how many shares were failed to deliver and therefore will need to be bought back by, what was it? I think it was T35, so 35 trading days after those failures to deliver.
Is that going to have a positive or negative impact on the stock, though?
Positive in the sense that the buying is compulsory. However, that does not necessarily mean they can't be rolled over as part of the swap or some other derivatives to create a synthetic share to satisfy the failure to deliver requirement. So I would leave enough exposure in case MOAS does happen. But in the meantime, I'm playing strategies to harvest the increase and decrease of implied volatility.
I see. You're playing both ways. All right. Thank you, man.
Pure Skill 175 wants to know, is XOM still a good buy at 110? It's currently trading at 109.90 pre-market.
Hard to say. C recommended, I think, posted a play.
Yeah, he was talking about Roku, it looks like, in the comment section.
No, $12 call on Robinhood. Use a 3% APY for daughter's cash, 2K in cash to break even with 5 gold monthly. No idea what you're talking about there, C. Could you elaborate?
So I don't know if you can hear me well, but so my uninvested cash, I've been using the 3% Robinhood gold feature, but you need at least $2,000 to just make up the $5 for the gold. And I think if you have around 10K, you're making 25 monthly.
So, question for you, C. If the goal is just to keep the cash in a safe place, why not buy I-bonds? I think they're paying 6.25.
Because I'm a monkey and I don't know how to do that. But I'm
Treasury Direct,
curious.
look up how to buy I-bonds and use your daughter's cash there.
Okay, thank you.
Hey guys, any thoughts on the upcoming big macro event, which is basically the full oil embargo hitting in December for Russia? Because currently, I don't know if you know, but basically they are allowed to put roughly 5 million barrels per day. Okay, but in December, like they won't be able to. So that's 5 million barrels that we won't have in the market. Any thought about that? Because also the OPEC has kind of cut the production. So if you have any play there, any thought, please share.
And I just want to add one thing so we don't have a GME all day. Mecca Mead wants to know, what is a good or recommended IV limit to buy back into GME with call options?
When the IV is lower than 90% of the previous year for that contract. So if your broker offers IV rank as a metric, when IV rank is 10 or lower. Part of the problem with IV and why it's not very well explained is because very few people can agree on what it is or how to interpret it. So I don't bother. I just look at the current options prices. I back out IV from that so I can see what institutions are pricing the IV as, and then work from there.
Nedley Do Right wants to know thoughts on Robinhood puts or calls this week with earnings.
I don't play that steaming pile of.
Jetfighter 5 wants to know Luminar laser calls.
Could go down, could go up.
And Tick Chick wants to know, will midterms immediately affect the market?
No, unless something unexpected happens.
Anybody have comments? From Just Chill 199 wants to know, any comments on UPST?
Going back to that midterms
company, I think.
question.
Very risky.
Go ahead.
So going back to that comment about the midterms, about the only thing I could see potentially have an immediate effect is if you have Republicans getting a majority in both chambers, you're probably going to see the wheat stocks dump.
I would also imagine if Republicans take some chambers, it'll be bullish just because it'll be harder for the government to actually pass bills. And that tends to be a little more bullish for the government when it's not all one-sided, and it's harder for them to pass things.
That's a double-edged sword because that also means that there's a higher likelihood of triggering a recession or a shutdown, which is bad for the economy.
Do we have a date of when we will know whether or not one party takes over?
Let's see, I believe election day is
November 8th.
November 8th. So by November 9th, we should probably have a pretty clear picture.
Might be a little later with mail-in voting if some states run behind on counting that up, though. So we might have
that also depends on how many ballots make up the total amount of ballots. So they have a bunch of mail-in ballots, and there's a tight margin. It might delay the certification of the elections. Other than that, if there's a wide margin, doesn't matter how many ballots are out there.
Hey, Weeb, isn't it rigged?
That's what some people say.
I also had something on that. I've been seeing a lot of talk that a bunch of nominations for the presidential election is going to be coming out after midterms as well. Y'all have any thoughts on that? Think it's going to affect anything?
I don't
It will
think
only affect things if the expected results end up being not what the results not being what was expected, and then all sorts of repricing will have to occur, during which a good day trader could walk away with some extra money as a result. Very stressful to trade through, though.
All right. Looks like Pleasant Anomaly wants to know thoughts on SoFi. Tomorrow is the earnings. And
Yes, it's a question I asked. So if you want, I can talk about it a little bit. So yeah, I'm pretty bullish on SoFi. So their main business is in personal loans, mortgages, and I think they do. Yeah, part of their business is also in student loans. The reason I continue to be bullish on that is the people they loan to have a pretty good FICO score. So from 75 to 70, 770 and above. So yeah, and also the in terms of earnings, the analysts are already pricing in a loss on EPS of about, I think somewhere I saw 10, somewhere to 12 cents per share. So yeah, something around those waters. So yeah, I just wanted to know what you think about, especially mortgages right now.
I was talking about.
ahead.
Sorry. I was talking about that about SoFi with a bunch of people on the SoFi page, and they all believe that whenever the interest rates, whatever they end up coming down with, that's going to have the biggest effect on the stock. That's the only thing I know about it.
Right, and DoorDash puts says ride the squeeze 1,000. Outrageous ad 8272 says thoughts on Hood, which we won't talk about that, so we'll erase that one. And then Vader Talk 96 is the last one for the day. Buy EPD or Oxy. What's the consensus on Oxy?
Could go down, could go up.
Long.
And I have no idea who this company is, but Apprehensive Roll 825 says Stellantis is filing bankruptcy in China. Puts ?
Stellantis is the company that owns Chrysler. Filing for bankruptcy in China could be a bad sign.
Depends how much they have to write off against their balance sheet. If it's not a meaningful amount, I wouldn't worry about it.
Right. And what do we think about EPD or Oxy? What's the consensus on Oxy? That's by Vader Talk 96.
I think the silence speaks for itself.
Right. All right.
Oil's down.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say oil's down today.
Thank you. Naos 24 wants to know thoughts on Meta stock short long term. Is it undervalued at A2 as a tech giant?
I suspect part of the reason why Zuck was so aggressive in pointing out the downward part is so that he can have a little bit of a Christmas rally and increase the number of earnings reports that Meta beat expectations. So depending on how well Meta ads work between now and Black Friday, Cyber Monday will likely drive the Q4 report for Meta.
Well, you're focusing on the top line. I think the main issue is the free cash flow. I posted a chart this weekend on the board. So basically, well, everyone knows at this point, like they have close to, they erase the whole FCF, free cash flow, and that's the biggest concern. I'm gonna post in the chat the chart again, just for you guys to have a look at it.
So what would the play be, journalist?
Say again?
What is the play?
The play at this moment, it's a pure bet. So if you believe that in 2030 the metaverse is coming, then just buy. Otherwise, if you want a real in the short midterm investment return, then just buy Apple, Google, and Microsoft. Don't touch Meta.
Do you have specific strikes and/or expirations?
No, I'm talking about holding shares, not options.
All right, thank you for sharing.
Just a quick update. Substantial Win 5899 says regarding Stellantis, the venture between Stellantis and Guangzhou Automobile Group producing Jeep vehicles in China is filing for bankruptcy.
So Stellantis will only lose 49% of that factory's value because the other 51 is owned by Guangzhou Automobile Group.
Correct.
Unless they got some sort of exception from the Chinese government to own a majority share.
In the ham IM, just go ahead and unmute your mic, and if you want to go ahead and talk, feel free to come in.
Yeah, thanks for having me up. I've been out of the WallStreetBets game for a good while. came back around for, I don't know, about 4 or 5 days ago, and glad to see that a lot of the energy is still alive. And this Reddit Talks adds a whole nother dimension that wasn't around back in late 19 and 2020. So yeah, this is all super cool, and glad to see it still going strong.
That's nice. What's the pool?
You got to play there, Ham?
Yeah, I was curious. So it's obvious to me, and maybe to some others, the effectiveness of drone technology from a defense standpoint. And I'm curious if you guys have a favorite play in the drone sector.
Are we talking consumer drones or commercial drones?
Thinking more like DoD contract level drones technology.
Well, where the US strategy is to have relatively few moderately expensive drones with precision weapons technology, Iran appears to be taking the opposite approach, where you have effectively disposable drones meant as one level below a cruise missile with associated range and probably payload. So I don't know if there's a US defense company that's building a disposable drone that's one step below a cruise missile. If there is, I suspect because of the nuisance that the Iranian drones are causing in Ukraine, there will be a step up in a willingness to at least research them in the US.
So your take would be look into those manufacturing disposable drones because by definition they destroy themselves, and
They are correct.
Yeah. Okay.
They're a
So
captive
there's
market,
a captive turn there, I guess.
cheaper than the Javelin, hopefully, and just as effective and deadly. All right, got I think 12 minutes to go. What other plays do we have?
I have a question about bonds. So we've briefly talked about TLTs, and if you want to short bonds in United States, you usually short the ETFs, bond ETFs. How do you short bonds in Japan? I mean, Japanese government bonds.
Wouldn't it be better to short the along the yen?
I'm not going to comment on Japan.
Yeah, you guys going too complex in your trades.
Yeah, it's too complex for me. I stick to America only. No, but fun fact for bonds in Japan, just like you guys know, as an insight. So Toyota is going to cover all the loans that they gave out to all the small businesses that they are associated with. So those are wrapped into certain Japanese bonds, but it really depends who you're playing with. If you really want to know about the Japanese bonds, I'd go look at the SoFi market, or even let me just pull up my Excel sheet here. Hold on. Feel free to talk while we're waiting. PayPal earnings are coming up. Any thoughts on that?
I wonder if they're going to be stung by this $2,500 alleged misinformation fine.
Probably will.
Not a meaningful number of accounts exited PayPal. It was just a lot of complaining.
Yeah, I think I agree. The key is businesses.
I just want to report in pre-market that GameStop's getting closer to $32 a share, and AMC, Ape, and another company we don't mention. I'm sorry, I shouldn't mention it. AMC is actually up 6%, and a couple other companies are up 6% as well.
Woot.
Did you say woot? Feels like 2012.
What should you say? Fire?
Fire. It's lit, fam. 9 minutes to go. Is anyone else playing the memes? What happened to those discount memes like Nokia, BlackBerry? What else was there?
The other bang tickers.
Are they all below the 500 limit?
Bed Bath & Beyond is below the 500 limit. Nokia takes a massive amount of money to move because of the number of shares outstanding. BlackBerry went nowhere, so all that's left of the original bang ticker is GameStop and AMC.
And Nokia, I remember Nokia being also one
What
of the
about
memes.
costs? You also had the headphone people there.
Yeah, isn't that way below 500?
Oh, that's like 62 million. Jeez.
Hey, did anyone see the reports of the the Foxconn factory workers walking out through virus concerns and what is that, unsafe working conditions?
Yeah, they had to escape.
What was that?
I said they had to escape. There was no walkout. They had to escape because the military was coming to lock them in.
Gotcha. Sweet. Have a good morning, guys.
You too. Anybody else got some plays? We got about 7 minutes left before open.
Hey, good morning. Yeah. Wondering if anybody else is taking a short position in Petrobras. They, I don't know if you guys know, the Brazilian election was just finished last night. The leftist got elected, and there's a lot of question marks on what he's going to do to the company. Is he going to nationalize them? Break them
Why?
up?
It's where do you get where do you get all these speculations of the left? Because he was already president, previous to this Bolsonaro. You have left presidents all around the world. I don't know if the left work in the U.S. seems like nationalization and everything sounds to you like maybe a Venezuelan thing. I would like to know what's the reason behind shorting Petrobras right now, because he already was president.
And Petrobras is already a government-owned company.
I mean, it's a play. It's obviously a play to take advantage of speculation and this kind of thing. So, like most other plays in the market.
Yeah, let's simmer down there, journalists. Come on, calm down.
So as far as Brazil goes, not so much Petrobras, but I'll be keeping an eye on Vale and I guess Petrobras as well, just because of the chance that Bolsonaro might do what he said he was going to do and claim that the runoff election doesn't count. And if that makes a little uncertainty and some of those companies I like in Brazil pull back, then I'll get in a little bit. Let's see if he does what he said he was going to do or if he's just going to step down.
So PLTR, Plantera has earnings this week. Any thoughts on that?
Who?
What? PLTR is something else, I think.
PLTR is Palantir.
Yeah, you're talking about Palantir.
Palantir.
I don't play gold companies.
I don't see them going any lower. So
they're an AI company.
It's a joke because they've been buying up gold for like a long time. It was a joke.
Sorry. I didn't know they bought up gold, so now I know. I'll add that to my notes.
I'd have to care about Palantir to actually know that.
Ouch.
Damn. What about A, B, and B? Did we talk about them today?
Negative. Any thoughts? Please.
Don't really know a true direction on Airbnb. There's some positive headwinds and also some negative headwinds. So maybe an iron condor is a thing to do, but I don't really see too much movement coming out of Airbnb. But there's other big tickers on the market. Datadog, Qualcomm. There's a lot of good earnings. We got Goodyear after hours today for all you boomers.
Airbnb is currently down about 1.5% pre-market.
Have they released earnings?
No, it's tomorrow after hours.
You think people are pricing in a miss?
Hey, opinion. I got a update on spooky stocks. I'll hit you up in private messages on Discord.
Oh, now I'm scared.
Boo.
I found a haunted bank. So I'm going to add. There's actually someone that killed themselves there in 1929 during the market crash. So I'm going to ask the ghost's opinion on stocks. It's going to be great.
God. All right.
We have to.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. We just have to verify it with the chicken test as well too.
I was going to say, by the way, we are hosting a pumpkin carving competition. So if any of you have carved spooky pumpkins, this would be a good time for you to post it to the subreddit, and we'll include it in the competition. There's a couple of prizes, desk mat and some other stuff. So check it out.
Maybe I'll grab one and I'll do the chart for Meta year to date.
My favorite that I've seen so far is the inflation pumpkin. It just says inflation. It's scary.
Horror show.
Also, like to thank all the people watching the YouTube and Twitch stream. Shout out to you guys.
Are you posting that link's daily opinion?
Yeah, should be sticky in the comments below. If you're not seeing it, let me know. But
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you.
All right, 2 minutes to go. Last second plays, other than GME and AMC. Or including GME and AMC. I'm sorry, guys.
I got one more thing just to ask general consensus. Ford stock. Do y'all think that's underpriced? Its fair value is at 24, and it's kind of just been sitting at $13 for the last 2 months.
Definitely look for that $15 one up. I like them. The earnings
I'm bullish on Ford. I'm bullish.
When does Ford come out with earnings?
I think
last week.
Yeah, last week they already had them.
Oh, they had them last week, so I had to keep a look at them. I've seen them go down to around 10, almost 9, and then they might bounce back up. So just see what direction they're heading.
Gotcha. Keep averaging down.
People keep buying those Mach E's and those Ford Lightnings. It's a solid company. Boomer approved.
I am short-term bullish, long-term bearish.
I think an interesting thing would be if Ford merges their manufacturing capacity at some point with Elon Musk.
All right, that's
they are
market
saying
open.
how they're. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's market open. So try not to lose too much money today, and we will see you all tomorrow.
GG's.